Welcome, my quiver of capitalists, the all-American American history teacher, the gold standard of economics, and the sensei of supply side, Professor G here. And today we're going to take a look at Unit 2, Lesson 1, Part 2, Change in Demand. Now, last lesson, of the first part of demand, we talked about the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. The higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, and when in doubt, graph it out. Higher the price, we see here, price is high, lower quantity demanded. The lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. And thinking about pizza, at $4 a slice, we'd be more reticent to buy pizza, and maybe we only get one slice, if any, but at $1 a slice, we definitely at least get 2 slices, maybe even splurge for a third, which is why pizza is about $2.50. The price at $2.50, many of us would just get that standard 2 slices of pizza. But that is change in quantity demanded, because the only thing that affected our demand for the pizza, our ability and our willingness to buy the pizza, was price. And because of that, it was just movements, it was illustrated by movements along the curve. But what if at $2.50 a slice, let's say, at $2.50 a slice, right now, if there were 35 of us watching, we would buy 70 total slices. But what if new studies show that pizza is extra healthy for you? The price didn't change, or even, we're all seniors in high school or juniors in high school, what if studies showed that pizza raises your SAT score? Hypothetically. That's on the house for the marketing department though. So let's say at $2.50, you found that pizza raises, scientific studies show that pizza will raise your SAT score. Well, at that same $2.50, if maybe you'll now want to buy a third slice of pizza. Did the price change? No. Yet, the amount we are willing and able to buy did change. This is called a change in demand, when the ability and willingness to consume our demand for the product changes regardless of price. That $2.50 remained the same. What changed was our preferences for pizza regardless of price due to that scientific study. So how do we illustrate this graphically? Well, if a change in price represents movements to the left of the line, up and down the line, leftwards up the line, leftwards down the line, movements along the line. So it can't be a movement left or right along the line. So at $2.50, let's say whereas 70 of us originally wanted pizza, the new scientific study comes out, now at this same exact price, there are 100 out of 35 of us watching. We are now willing to buy 100 slices of pizza. This would be represented by a shift of the demand curve. And we illustrate that very importantly with our arrow. So our demand curve shifts, and we label this new demand curve D1. And the D1 signifies that the letter D no longer exists. Or just like for the PPC, that arrow signifies a new economic circumstance has happened, and that the second curve is now where the economy is. The previous curve is not there. So as we just illustrated, an increase in demand would be a shift to increase in demand, shift to the right. This shows that at all previous prices and all previous quantities, because something happened to our tastes and preferences, at the same original prices, there is now a new quantity, and we call a new quantity demanded, a new change in demand. And we call this change in demand, not change in quantity demanded. It's called change in demand to signify that it's not a movement along the curve. It is, the price remains the same, it is a shift of the curve. And let's say, for a decrease in ability and willingness, studies show that pizza was really bad for you. You already kind of crossed that line anyway, but now studies show that it's extra bad for you. So what would happen? It would be, so at that same price of $2.50, whereas where we originally, at $2.50, originally we were willing and able to buy 70 slices of pizza. Those new studies show that we don't want the pizza, that it's bad for us, and therefore at that same $2.50, now less of us are willing to buy. This would be a demand curve shift to the left. And we would label that D1. Again, the D1 shows that this is the new economic circumstance. Now let's take a look at the different categories that shift ability and willingness to buy a product regardless of price. Here is our acronym for the categories that change demand regardless of price. So for the price of, we're going to call this product X, whatever it is, and sometimes the question people, well, you can say product X. And so whatever product X is, that price is currently remaining the same. Either our preferences towards X, our ability or willingness about X, regardless of price, is changing. So the first one we just did, tastes and preferences. Something about our wants for it, to good marketing campaign, to scientific study, to advertising, something about that product has changed. The price remained the same, but our ability and willingness to want it has either increased or decreased due to our tastes and preferences. Related products is broken into two subcategories: substitute products and complementary products. A substitute product is you can buy X or Y. So let's say orange juice and apple juice. You could substitute them for each other. And so let's say orange juice is X. Orange juice is the product in question. Orange juice remains the same, but apple juice goes down in price. So because so now orange juice is still $3, whatever it is, it hasn't changed. So let's say orange juice was apple juice and orange juice were each $3, but apple juice went down to $2. Orange juice remained the same, but because the price of apple juice decreased, our demand for orange juice, even though the price has not changed, will also decrease. Inversely, if apple juice and orange juice, they're each $3, but this time the price of apple juice went up to $4. Orange juice remained $3, but because the apple juice is now more expensive, our demand for the orange juice will increase. And so the substitute product, what happens to the price to the other product changes the demand for product X. Complementary products are what are also called true cost products. You have to buy X and Y together. So a great example, like SUVs and gasoline. And in the 2008 recession, from like 2008, 2009, 2010, gasoline spiked in price. It was almost double what it is today in 2020. People were making life decisions at the gas station, filling up their car. And with SUVs, we saw as gasoline prices were skyrocketing, SUVs, the demand for SUVs was decreasing because SUVs typically take more gas than your regular four-door sedan. The demand for SUVs decreased because its complementary product, gasoline, was increasing so drastically, it was making the true cost of owning the SUV increase. The price of the SUV didn't change, but because its complementary product went up in price, then the demand for the product X, the SUV, decreased. Now, 10 years later, we see gas prices nearing relatively all-time lows, hovering around $2, a little over $2.20. And as gas prices are coming down, so too is the true cost of owning the SUV. So demand for SUVs and larger cars are now increasing because they're now more affordable to own. So the complementary product has this inverse relationship of the price of product Y to the demand for product X. So keep in mind it's a true cost, but in both cases, product X never changed. Income and taxes, this refers to the income of the buyers and the taxes that we also pay. How do taxes affect our disposable income? In the income, we have money left over taxes. You have the gross income, which is what your salary, and then you have your taxes you're paid to the government, and if taxes increase, well, the price of products might not change, but that decreases our ability and willingness to buy the products. Very simply, B is buyers, the number of buyers, and inversely too with income and taxes. Kind of going right back. If our taxes decrease, prices of the products remain the same, but now with less taxes, that means we have a greater disposable income, and we can now buy. Our ability and willingness to buy products has now increased regardless of their prices. And lastly, kind of tricky, is expectation of prices. This is us acting as rational consumers. If we expect, and we're smart, we know when the sale seasons are. We know when prices are going to come down. So if we know prices are going to come down, the current price of product X has not changed, but we expect the product to decrease in price. So currently, we will demand less of product X now, because we know if we wait a month, if we wait for Black Friday, for instance, if we wait a month, then it will be cheaper. So expectations of prices, you really have to think, it's really what you do as a consumer. Same for substitute and complementary products. The nice thing about thinking about this is it follows the rational logic of a consumer. So expectation of prices, if we expect the price of product X to decrease in the near future, the current demand for product X will also decrease because we will wait for that price to come down. Inversely, if we expect the demand for product X to go up in price, well then we're going to buy it now before it goes up in price. So again, all of these, the nice thing about the law of demand, it's really how, and especially changes in demand, even with changes in quantity demanded, really just take a second and think. The language of the test is trying to trick you, but at the end of the day, the rules follow the rational consumer. Our next lesson we are going to take a look at the law of supply. Thanks for watching. Remember, money never sleeps.